The Nigerian flood of 2012 was a devastating natural disaster, resulting in 140 casualties and displacing 120,000 people. Nigeria, which gets heavy tropical rains from May to September, usually suffers from seasonal flash floods, but almost never on this scale. In tonight's broadcast, we examine how the power of global information technology and systems could have been used to provide relief to the victims. Now let's hear from Benjamin Walker, who will discuss the mitigation and preparedness phase of the disaster.
The flooding in Nigeria was extremely devastating. One of the most devastating aspects about this natural disaster was the fact that it was preventable. There are several technologies that would be preventative for this flooding, including missile detection technology, radar and satellites, and a decision support system. The missile detection technology utilizes high buildings, so that would not be applicable in this sense, as along the rivers in Nigeria there are not high infrastructure buildings that sensors could be perched. Another technology that Nigeria could have utilized was radar and satellites. Nigeria currently already has 3 satellites that monitor agriculture and environmental changes. These satellites and radar could be used as early flood detection systems and could easily warn residents along the river channels of an incoming flood. A third type of technology is decision support systems. This relies on environmental data from satellites, sensors, and information on the ground. This generates a computer simulation and artificial intelligence of incoming floods and natural disasters, again giving inhabitants of the area an early release. One of the major causes to the widespread relocation of people and death and destruction in Nigeria was due to the infrastructure of the country. The country lacked lots of infrastructure that most first world countries have in terms of disaster relief. In theory, these engineering and man-made structures such as dams and barriers are good to prevent flooding and reduce the load. However, in the actual circumstances, man cannot predict the extent to how much the flooding will be, and once these barriers and dams get overrun, they lead to worse flooding than to begin with.
Thank you, Ben. Those tools have been very useful in predicting the flood. Next, we will go to Sam Walczak, who will discuss the response phase.
An increasingly popular method of disaster response is to utilize crowdsourcing technologies. One system in particular that would help is the Standby Task Force, a tool that allows volunteers to help go through thousands of tweets sent during a natural disaster. For example, during Hurricane Sandy relief, using volunteers, Standby Task Force was able to reduce what was more than 100,000 disaster-related tweets to a mere 30,000. In Nigeria, this would be a viable tool because Nigeria is a leader in Twitter use in Africa, sending the 3rd largest amount of tweets of any African state. At 1.4 million tweets in Q4 of 2013, it sends even more tweets than Egypt, a country known for its use of Twitter during the Arab Spring. Other technologies, such as TomNod and OpenStreetMap, allow volunteers to search satellite images for areas of concern. TomNod in particular was very helpful during Typhoon Haiyan, where hundreds of thousands of markers were placed by volunteers worldwide in helping find satellite images of affected areas. The same disaster relief techniques can be used to help with Nigerian floods.
Thanks, Sam. We will now turn to Kevin Huang, speaking about the recovery phase.
So in terms of technology for assessing reconstruction efforts, one primary source would be the social media or websites. They provide updates and progress in reconstruction efforts. Nigeria has over 43 million internet users, and they are the number 9 country of having the most internet users in the world. A second technology that could be utilized is a telephone hotline. Again, Nigeria is the number 10 country compared to all the other countries in the world of people who have mobile phones. It's also a good replacement for the website for those who are illiterate or do not have internet access. Finally, a third technology that could be utilized for assessing reconstruction efforts is crowdsourcing. Nigeria can elicit volunteers within affected and displaced communities to obtain information about reconstruction efforts to pass along to family and friends. Nigeria is a relationship-based society, so word will spread quickly within family and friend networks. Volunteers act as liaisons between affected families and reconstruction crews, going back and forth to coordinate the needs and requirements between both the family and the reconstruction crews. Finally, in terms of starting a new life, crowdsourcing can also be utilized here. Volunteers in the community can act as liaisons between the federal government as well and nonprofit organizations, because they provide the majority of donations in reconstruction. Finally, all three of these technologies, social media, telephone, and crowdsourcing, are all technologies that can be utilized and will still exist even if future disasters occur. Even though websites may go down or people may lose some of their phones, crowdsourcing will always exist because people will always be there to act as volunteers and help inform people of future disasters.
Thanks, Kevin. By utilizing crowd-based data sharing technologies such as these, the damage of the 2012 Nigeria flood could have been greatly reduced. We hope that all countries at risk for these disasters take steps to potentially save lives. This concludes tonight's broadcast. Good luck with finals, and stay classy, Carnegie Mellon.